Hello and welcome back to Maddux Monday. Well, I'm glad to see you all again. So, this week we get a little bit deeper into the Civil War. Remember, every Monday all your assignments will be posted on Google Classroom. This week I will be offering Zoom classes starting on Thursday. So keep an eye out on Google Classroom and I'll post the link and the time for that. So Thursdays will be for history stuff. Okay, so today we're going to go through our agenda and then I'll go over some of the topics to help you guys out for your assignments. So Khan Academy this week, there's only 2 videos. Well, one of them's a reading document and the other one is a video that kind of goes into some follow-up about the Battle of Antietam. So you're going to read through it. It'll help you answer those questions I have for you. And if you're still having problems logging into Khan Academy, please send me an email or message me on Remind, and I can help you out with that. Logging into Khan Academy is just your username, is just your school email. So next thing we're also going to be doing today is talking about your other assignment is your Emancipation Proclamation document. I know that's a lot to say. Say it a little slower. Emancipation Proclamation. If you say it really quickly, it kind of tongue twister there. Okay, so we got one more full week of online learning and then we get a spring break. You might be thinking like, that's weird because we're doing everything online. So we'll have an online spring break. You can maybe plan a Zoom hangout and talk about TV. I don't know. We can figure that out. So no new assignments will be posted the following week. So that'll give you guys a week to get caught up because I know it's a lot of just looking at the computer screen. Okay, so let's get started with looking at our notes for today. Okay, next topic is going to be a little recap here about our presidents here. So during the Civil War, our nation divided in 2. We had a whole new section, break off and became known as the Confederacy or the Confederate States of America. Well, along with that, that means they need their own president because they're their own independent country. So Jefferson Davis will become the president of the Confederates, and Lincoln, of course, stays the president of the Union because that's the, true U.S., not the people who try to sneak off and leave. So there you go. You got Lincoln and the Confederates. Also the flags, as you can see, the Union flag looks exactly like the American flag. Surprise, surprise. And the Confederates, made their own flag that you might have seen before in different movies, or Mississippi state flag still has some pieces of the Confederate flag in it. Okay, next topic. So kind of talked about this a little bit last week, but we're going to go more into detail because it's a really important part of this whole thing. So September of 62, war's been going on for a little bit over a year at this point. We had Battle of Bull Run, which was our first official battle. That was in July prior to this. And then we had, Fort Sumter was an attack, not a battle. Battles are planned. So we got Manassas/Bull Run was our first official battle. So everyone thought after, Bull Run, this thing will be cleaned up in like a couple weeks. So those picnickers that went there, to watch, they're like, oh, this will last a couple weeks. It's fine. This is cool. We're all hanging out. We're just chilling. And then, a year passes, 2 years, coming up on 2-year anniversary here. And they're like, oh, this is lasting a lot longer than we thought. Just like our quarantine, we thought, it only lasts 2 weeks. Now they're like, well, now it's going to last months. So, okay. So up until this point, Confederates were doing really well. Remember, they did have a lot of advantages when it came to leadership. No, they didn't have as much supplies or people, but if you have a great leader, you don't need as many supplies or people. And they had the home field advantage, meaning they knew the territory really well. So General Lee, who is the Confederate military leader, decided, you know what, we're going to get gutsy and let's go invade more north. So that means above Washington, D.C. So they're going to go a little bit, further into the Northern Territory here. And that's gutsy right there because you're, leaving your home field advantage and going north. Now, there's a fatal flaw here. During all this, one of General Lee's troops left their stuff behind, like the note that had the plans for the next battle. I know you guys are probably like, whoa, people leave stuff behind? As I clean up the classroom, what I used to do when, we had a classroom. But yeah, someone left their answers. So Union troops found the battle plans and turned it into their general, which is still McClellan at this time. So General McClellan of the Union Army, great quote I found here, here's a paper with which, if I cannot whip Bobby Lee, I will be willing to go home. Remember, Robert, Bobby, same guy here. So McClellan was getting a little gutsy here, going, wow, I found the battle plans. I can cheat now, and I can win. Well, I didn't really cheat. I mean, they left it behind. It was, free real estate. So the battle happens. It lasts for a whole 12 hours. And at the end of it, there was about 3,650 dead. So in 12 hours, that's how many people died. That's a lot of people per minute dying. So this is why it's called the bloodiest day in U.S. history, because of how many people died. Now, the death count is for both Union and Confederate, because technically Confederates were still Americans. So it hurt. That was a lot of people that died. So technically it was a Union victory because the Confederates retreated, but they didn't capture Lee when they could have. And so this is when Lincoln's going to look at McClellan going, you're done. I'm done with you. You weren't that great. Well, yes, you won. Good job. Here's a participation trophy, but I'm going to replace you now. So that was the last for McClellan. Tough loss there. Now, because of this victory, now Great Britain doesn't want anything to do with the Confederates, because they're like, you're not that great. We don't want to be associated with you. Because remember, at this time, Confederates had, the cash crop cotton, and Britain wanted the cotton because of all their factories, and they were getting supplied 75% of it just from the southern states. Now, Europe was like, well, I'm not going to get involved now. Britain was like, we're out. Just like in Shark Tank, we're out. Okay, so because of all this, Lincoln's going to use this to his advantage, and he's going to issue the Emancipation Proclamation. So emancipation means to get set free. So you might have heard the term before, an emancipated minor. That means there's someone who's under 18 who has emancipated themselves, meaning they don't need a legal guardian. You got to be at least 16 to do that, and there's a lot of court dates for that. Now, a proclamation is an announcement. So basically, Emancipation Proclamation is just a fancy way of saying a freedom announcement. So after 2 years, Lincoln decides to free the slaves in the Confederacy, but not those in the Union states. Because remember, people are still super racist, and they might leave and be mad that, everyone's getting their freedom. There were some slaves in Union states. So, interesting thing there. Also, border states. We know the border states are the states in between. They're like the buffer zone. They weren't really sure what side they wanted to pick. Now, if Lincoln freed the slaves in all the states, everywhere, then the border states would definitely go to the Union side. So he still wanted to keep the Union there. So September 22nd, 1862, so right after the Battle of Antietam, he's going to issue a warning saying, hey, if you guys come back home to the Union, you get to keep your slaves. But if you continue to be in a state of rebellion and keep, leaving home and stuff like that, then I'm going to free your slaves and make it, now you've broken the law. So he's going to give them a warning shot here. He's going to give them time to think it over. So he's going to give them from September to January, which, they can get through the holidays and stuff like that, and then have to make their decision by January 1st. So on New Year's Day, they had to make a decision. Now, a part of this would also mean that the government, the U.S. government, would now protect anyone who came over. So, no more of this bounty hunter nonsense. You make it to the freedom territory, you are indeed free at last. So, this was a huge thing that Lincoln gave them a choice. He could have just said, no, I want them all freed. But remember, in his inauguration speech that he gave, he wanted to keep the slaves if it kept the Union together. But now that the war has been going on and so many people have died, he decided, you know what, we need to change the focus of the war, and we're going to free the slaves in states of rebellion, which also meant the Union generals that were super racist. They, Lincoln wasn't totally saying no slaves at all, just if you come back home, you can keep your slaves. So remember, racism, pretty strong still. Okay, now because of this, another cool factor that happened because of, other than people finally getting their freedom, was that any freed men were allowed to join the Union Army. So now you have a bunch of people who hate the guts of their former slave owners. You're going to train them and equip them to go fight them. So this is when he's going to arm them. So we're going to get our first regiment of all Black soldiers. It's going to be the 54th Massachusetts Regiment. They're going to form in the city of Boston. Now their commander is going to be white. So this way he can still get respect from other Union Army, soldiers and stuff like that. So another cool fact for this, Frederick Douglass's sons were in the regiment. We know Frederick Douglass is that famous abolitionist. So their moment of glory is going to come at the Battle of Fort Wagner. They're going to show their courage and actually do really well. They're not going to end up winning technically, but they are going to show the world on how great they are and how courageous they were. They're going to show up all those racist people saying, look, we're better than you. We learned to fight. We were successful. So that was, a great moment. And, Lincoln did help with that. So I know in elementary school you're taught Lincoln freed the slaves. Technically, he only freed the slaves in the Confederacy, not the Union. It's not until after the Civil War we get the 13th Amendment that frees all the slaves. That Lincoln wasn't, fully around for, because he is going to pass away before that gets fully passed. So there you go, kids. I hope to see you later this week on our Zoom class call. And remember, on Zoom class calls, we still got to be, school appropriate. And you know what? We'll still have some fun. Don't worry. Well, I hope to see you on our Zoom class call on Thursday. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you all later.